Health and fitness requires more than just the physical work. It starts with the work you put in to grow your mind. Welcome to the Mind Gains podcast, where we discuss what it takes mentally to see results physically. I'm your host, Jess. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Mind Gains podcast. I hope you're having a great start to your day. I have been up since 3:30 this morning. At first, I was not sure why. I sat in bed for about an hour trying to fall back asleep, and I could not fall back asleep, and eventually I just ended up getting up and spending some really early time this morning with the Lord. Normally, I am getting up at around 6 o'clock and spending that first 45 minutes to an hour with him, but today was a super early wake up time, I guess. He honestly did have a lot to, reveal to me this morning. We had a lot to discuss. I guess that's why I've been up since 3:30 this morning, but I honestly feel really great energy-wise. I'm having a really great day. I had an awesome lift this morning, and now I get to sit and podcast and do what I love. So hopefully you haven't been up since 3:30 this morning, but I am hoping that you have had a good start to your day. Today we are going to be talking about something that honestly was brought up to me pretty recently, and I was like, why the heck have I not done an episode on this yet? I don't know why it never crossed my mind, but it is something that a lot of people are turning to in this day and age. I see it everywhere I look, as I'm sure you can probably relate to as well, and that is going to be Ozempic, or really any sort of fat loss pill, fat loss shot, anything like that that's just a shortcut to fat loss. I want to talk about the truth behind these things because I think everyone just kind of looks at Ozempic or anything like it and sees it as this like magical solution, this magical, thing that they're going to take and just lose, 50 plus pounds, which yeah, you are, but before you do that, you should probably know all of the information behind it. So I definitely want to dive into that today because the truth is there is a cost to quick fixes, and it's not just physical. So I feel like pretty much everyone and their mother knows what Ozempic is at this point, but just in case you're not aware, it is a prescription medication typically taken once a week that you have to go get an actual injection for. Ozempic is the brand name for the drug semaglutide, which was originally created to treat type 2 diabetes. It mimics GLP-1, which is a hormone that regulates insulin and helps slow down digestion. And the way Ozempic works, it causes appetite suppression, slower gastric emptying, and improved blood sugar levels. And it's typically used off-brand for weight loss. Now, like with anything, there's always going to be, those negative side effects or the potential for negative side effects. We don't need to go into all of those. It's going to be the same as every other medication that's on there. You already know the list for that. But I want to talk more about the long-term risks of it. It can lead to muscle loss, nutrient deficiencies, and pancreatitis, not to mention disordered eating and reliance on outside substances or outside sources for weight loss instead of a lifestyle change. You're now relying on external aids and magic pills and magic shots instead of building up discipline, resiliency, and developing a healthier lifestyle that actually sticks rather than having to go get a shot once a week. And oftentimes what happens, I would say pretty much every time what happens is as soon as you stop that, the weight starts coming back. Why? Because you probably did not do anything during that time to actually, like I just said, make changes to your lifestyle. So if you go right back to doing the thing that you were doing before, except now without that external aid to help you, what do you think is going to happen? It's not just, again, a magic shot that we get to take and lose all this fat and then we stop taking it and then we get to keep those results because it wasn't sustainable. You didn't actually earn the results of weight loss or fat loss. And then you're not doing anything to maintain those results. I've said this so many times here, but whatever you are doing in order to lose body fat or lose weight, because again, those are two different things. And when you're on Ozempic or anything like it, you're losing weight. You're not necessarily losing fat, again, if you are not doing anything outside of just taking a shot once a week. Whatever you are doing in order to achieve whatever results you're getting, you have to be willing to do that forever if you plan to hold on to those results. So do you plan on getting a shot once a week for the rest of your life? Probably not. And the fact of the matter is I think a lot of times people look at it and say, okay, well, yeah, this is just kind of to help things along right now. I'm not necessarily using it as like a quick fix to all of my problems. I'm just using it for right now to help me lose a little bit of weight initially, but I am going to change my lifestyle. But the fact is they start seeing that weight loss and they say, oh, I haven't had to do anything outside of going and getting a shot once a week. Why would I change anything about my eating habits, my lifestyle habits? Why would I start going to the gym at 5 a.m.? When you start seeing that result and you say, oh my gosh, I don't have to do anything in order to, I basically don't have to do anything again outside of going once a week. Why would I change anything about the way I'm living if I'm seeing results from it? I think a lot of times the intention is maybe not bad initially. Again, it's used as, well, it's going to help me, just right off the bat at first. This is a temporary thing, but I am going to get my life together and I'm going to live a healthier lifestyle so that I can make this healthy and sustainable. But does that really happen? I know for a fact that there are people out there that is actually the reality, but it's very few. It's very few. Most people are not approaching it that way. The desire for immediate results is very human. We all want that in pretty much every area. I don't know anyone who within health and fitness, within any other part of their life is like, you know what? Yeah, I am more than okay with working my butt off and it taking months, if not years, to reach the goal that I'm after. How many people are okay with that? No one wants that. But again, it doesn't come without a consequence. I think it's so promoted now that it's like, well, anything that can make your life easier is equated to effectiveness. And that's just not true. Just because you lose a good amount of body fat or body weight up front and you don't have to do anything really to change your lifestyle for that result does not mean that it's effective. And this is going beyond just Ozempic. This is just really anything in general of like, oh, well, this diet worked for me. I lost 30 pounds on it 5 years ago, but now I have to look for something else because I gained the weight back plus more. If you are saying that a diet or a lifestyle or whatever you did in the past, a pill or a shot that you took in the past worked for you, but now you are having to find something else to work for you again, it didn't work for you. If you have to keep losing and gaining, you keep losing and gaining the same 50 pounds over and over, then clearly what you're doing is not working. If it worked, you wouldn't have regained the weight. If it worked for you, you wouldn't have to be looking for the next trend to jump on because you got to do something about this weight. You'd be slowly chipping away at your goal sustainably, maybe for a longer period of time. But guess what? You never have to worry about regaining that 50 pounds and then trying to lose it again down the line. The biggest reason that Ozempic, or again, anything like it, works, quote unquote, is because it's going to suppress your appetite. You're just going to be under eating. You're going to be probably severely under eating, not fueling your body well. When has starving yourself to weight loss ever been healthy or ever been sustainable? And it actually is laughable to me that things like this will promote the fact that it's like an appetite suppressant. It's like, well, yeah, let's lose 50 plus pounds rapidly. And the way we're going to achieve that is you're not going to be hungry. It's going to be really difficult for you to eat actually, because that's the way. The way is to just not eat basically, or make yourself to the point where you don't want to eat. I'm sorry, I don't know how that makes sense to anyone. Does that sound healthy? Does that sound like something you can maintain forever? Does that sound like something you even want to do? Do you want to underfeed yourself, undernourish yourself, not give your body the nutrients it needs, and be entirely dependent on this weekly shot that you have to go take? I cannot understand that. I know it's like this shiny object of like, oh, well, I can lose weight very quickly. Oh, it's going to suppress my appetite. That's what I need. No, that's not what you need. You need balance. You need a lifestyle change. You need sustainability and something that's not restrictive and something that's not unhealthy. Weight loss does not equate to health. There are so many ways to go about weight loss that are so extremely unhealthy. Actually, I would argue that pretty much all of them are unhealthy unless you are doing a lifestyle change, approaching it with balance without restriction, and you are doing a moderate calorie deficit over an extended period of time in order to lose that body fat. I would argue that pretty much every other way outside of that is unhealthy. Anything that promises quick results, anything that advertises itself as an appetite suppressant, that should be throwing up like major red flags to you if you see that. I have someone in my life, and I'm not going to say who because I'm sure they'd be fine with me saying who it is, but I don't want to assume. So I have someone in my life who for years and years and years has tried so many different ways to lose body fat. And they kept going back to, a few different times. This diet, I don't remember what it's called, but essentially they would give you an outline of, you can have 3 ounces of turkey breast for lunch this day, and then you can have a cheese stick in between lunch and dinner, and then you can have 5 grapes after dinner for your dessert, like things like that. And I read through the pamphlet for it, and on the first page, first off, it talked about you could lose 20 pounds in the first 2 weeks. And like, number one, again, major red flag. Anything that's saying you could lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks, it ain't it. That is not it. That is not healthy. And I actually went through and just, loosely tracked the food that they would eat, just on a daily basis, just to get an idea of what their caloric intake was during this time that they were doing it. And they were averaging about 800 to 900 calories a day. 800 to 900 calories. That is less than a child needs on a daily basis. A 7-year-old child needs roughly about 1,200 calories a day just for survival, liver function, brain function, organ function, like all of the things for your heart to beat, for your blood to flow through your veins, for cognitive function. Like, I'm just going to leave that there and let that simmer for a little bit. But anyways, so they were eating about, on average, 800 to 900 calories a day. On top of that, they had to go, I don't remember how often, but they would have to go, to the clinic that they had available. And the doctors there, nurses, whoever they were always, every time it was like their job was to administer appetite suppressants to help them only eat 800 to 900 calories a day. And it is astonishing to me in the world that we live in, and with the access to information that we have, so like it's abundantly available to us, everything is at the tips of our fingers, that we are still doing this crap. We still believe that this is the way to go. Not a moderate calorie deficit, not small improvements to your lifestyle and your dietary habits. It's easier to do something like that. It's easier to starve yourself and go get an appetite suppressant or go get an Ozempic shot once a week rather than go to the gym 3 times a week, walk 8,000 steps a day, eat a nutrient-dense diet, build up to those habits. No one's saying you got to start from, your starting point and then jump to being perfect overnight. That's never going to happen, but just start making those small changes, small adjustments. Start with your diet. Start trying to get in more fruits and veggies and protein, more whole foods. Start cooking from home more. Start trying to fuel yourself well throughout the day. Start trying to learn how to track. Start trying to just, not from a restrictive standpoint, but from I need to make sure I'm eating enough. I need to make sure I'm eating enough protein. I need to make sure that I'm eating consistently throughout the day. And then move on to moving your body a little bit more. And then move on to start drinking some more water. Like, small changes. That is the way. That is the way. And there's very few things that I will sit here and say 100% this is the way for everyone, and there is like no other way to do it. But honestly, when it comes to this, if you're looking for health, if you're looking for sustainability, if you're looking for real fat loss, not just weight loss, because again, I mentioned those are entirely different. If you're on something like Ozempic, you're more than likely, again, unless you're eating enough protein, which you're probably not doing, because unless you're tracking your food, you're not doing it. I don't care how much chicken you think you eat throughout the day. I don't care how much eggs and steak and peanut butter that you eat throughout the day. Unless you're tracking your food, you have no idea how much protein you're eating. And I can promise you with 99% certainty, you are severely under eating protein. That's number one. So if you are now doing something like Ozempic, you're not eating enough protein, that scale is moving down because you're losing muscle mass. Not because you're necessarily losing all of this body fat. And guess what? Then you're just going to look like a smaller version of what you looked like before. You're not going to look lean and defined if that's your goal. It's not going to happen unless you're doing the right things in order to look lean and defined, which again is eating enough calories, first of all, eating enough protein, strength training, all the right things. Unless you're doing that, if you're just taking a shot and hoping for the best, you're not getting there. So there's very few things that like I said, that I will sit and say, this is the way to do it. But when it comes to health and fitness, if you care about all of that, this is the way to do it. And within that, there are different avenues you could go off of. Maybe you track for an extended period of time. Maybe you're like me. I have been tracking basically every single day, every single meal, every single thing that has gone into my mouth for the last 3 years. And I love it. I didn't at first. Now I love tracking. And I do not plan to stop tracking anytime soon. But maybe that's not going to work for you. Maybe you spend 6 months tracking your food or a year, whatever it is, and you say, yeah, I feel like I have a really good basis for this and I don't really want to do it anymore. I'm going to switch over to intuitive eating now because I do have that foundation of nutritional values of foods, how much to be eating, how much protein to be eating, like what foods are going to give me the nutrients that I need. Personally, for me, I love strength training. I am obsessed with strength training. It is the only form of exercise outside of just walking and getting steps, because I guess we consider that exercise now. That is the only form of exercise that I genuinely love. I do it 5 days a week. Maybe you say, nah, 3 days a week is good for me. Maybe you say 3 days a week is good for me with strength training. I also love Pilates, so I'm going to add that in once or twice a week as well. Or I also love running, so I'm going to add that in as well. There's different ways to go about it, and there's different avenues to branch off of. But again, if you're getting down to the root of it and you're getting down to, I want or need to change my body composition, I need to lose some body fat and I need to get healthier, this is the way to do it. And I'm speaking loud about it because I don't see very many people doing it. And I do not understand why, because it will change your entire life. If you let it, it will make such a positive impact on your life that you will look back one day and be like, I don't know how the heck I ever operated or functioned without living this lifestyle. I genuinely don't get it. And if you are a believer, you also need to understand that this is not optional. It shouldn't be optional. We are called to treat our bodies as temples. If the Holy Spirit resides in us, do you not think that we need to treat it as a holy temple, our body as that holy temple, to give him a healthy vessel to operate in and through? And that doesn't come from taking shortcuts. Stewardship, like true stewardship over our health, comes from sustainability, not from taking the easy way out, not from trying to find a magic pill or a band-aid for something, instead of getting to the root cause of it and making true, genuine change. I wanted to bring up Proverbs 13:11, which says, wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. When we rush results and when we try to take shortcuts and take the easy way out, honestly, we might be giving up or forfeiting or trying to get out of the deeper work that God is trying to do in our lives and in us, with discipline, with surrender, with developing the person that we are meant to be shaping and molding us, because that's what he does. Through every trial, through every season, through every difficult circumstance, because again, when we start off changing our lifestyle, it's not the easiest thing to do. There's definitely trials that are going to come out of that. There's definitely going to be moments that it feels like, is this worth it? But that's where he is, if you allow him, he is working to build up your discipline and build up your ability to just surrender everything to him and ask him for help when you feel like you need help. Have you ever considered that your health and fitness journey might be deeper than just physical results, than just, I want to lose 20 pounds? Have you ever considered that he might be trying to develop something in you that you need for his specific calling and purpose in your life? Speaking of getting up at 3:30 this morning, it's so funny because I had already kind of had my notes set for this and I already had this point that I wanted to bring up, but he reiterated this to me this morning. As I was just thinking, I think about just honestly how grateful I am for everything in my life on a daily basis, I would say, or close to it. And I was just thinking about how grateful I am to have been brought through this journey of bettering my health, bettering my lifestyle, and honestly getting to now do what I love with both being a coach with my job and with, podcasting as well. But he also just reminded me, he was like, remember, I brought you through that. You remember all the times that it was very, very difficult. Temptations were so high to not stick to the plan or not show up the way I knew I needed to, but he's the one that got me through it. And yeah, when we acknowledge that, we don't diminish the hard work that we put in, because we have to be willing and open to putting in that hard work. Like, he could be there all he wants saying, hey, I want you to do this. Hey, I need you to do this. Hey, I need you to trust me. Take my hand, take this step forward. But if you're not willing to do it and you're not willing to put in the hard work, it's not just going to happen, right? It's not just going to fall into your lap. So you have to be willing to put in that hard work, but he is the one that gives you strength. And he is the one that gets you through that initial, pushback, that initial challenge of implementing a different lifestyle. And again, I really just thought back to the fact that I am a very, very different person than who I was before I started all of this. Not in every single way, but there's a lot of traits about me, and there's a lot of mindsets and perspectives and desires. And there's just a lot about me that has completely 180 shifted. And I look back at all of the times that I remember so vividly struggling at different points throughout this journey. And I just think about, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be who I am right now. And I wouldn't be able to sit here and talk about this on a podcast. And I wouldn't be able to be a health and fitness coach and help other women in their journeys and their health. Like, I wouldn't be qualified, and I wouldn't be who I am today. And I know that's true even now that, there's other callings for me down the line that he is still right now in my current season developing and shaping and molding the person that he needs me to be so that I can step into that role. And it works the same here. It works the same for you. So if you've never thought about it, I really want you to consider that that is what happens when you approach this journey that way, and when you allow him to work in it, because you are allowing him to give you the fruit of the Spirit, which is discipline. And you're allowing him to build that up in you. Maybe, it's important right now because taking care of your health is important, but there's also probably something else down the line that he's like, I need you to be disciplined for this though. I need to develop it in you now. Just a different perspective, I think. So if you have been considering trying out Ozempic, I would really urge you to pause and reflect and ask if you are choosing control or if you are choosing stewardship and true change, and not trying to skip the hard process to just get to the end result. Because if you try to do that, you're not going to become the person that journey, that in-between time, that is where you become the person that you need to be. That is where you're becoming refined. And you're developing the skills and the habits to become the person that you ultimately need to be. You don't need a shortcut. You need a strategy that is rooted in science and truth and not in trends. And that comes from just building up these daily disciplines, changing your lifestyle one small change at a time. And I promise you, if you keep doing that, you will get there. You will get to where you need to be when it's your time. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this. I would love to hear your perspectives. If you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, please share them with me, because I'm always willing to have a conversation about anything that we talk about here. But that is all I have for you today. I hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll talk next time.